Yes, welcome to Raw Thoughts. Me, myself, and AI. It's just me, myself, and a mic answering questions that I've put to ChatGPT about my life that has been kind of under question for the last 2 years and trying to understand why I am the way I am. And no filters, no bullshit, no scripts, just raw and unapologetically me. It's my opinions, hold it to me, but it's based on my experiences. What you'll find is a lot of people are scared to answer these questions in person, let alone on camera. So these answers will be here for you to come back to and hold me accountable to in years to come. So, episode 1. What are we calling this week? Episode 1. Childhood trauma. Does it ever leave us? When I say us, me. So I've got ChatGPT up here. I'm going to answer a question. So let's go with what counts as trauma? Give me 4 questions based on this. Why did I decide my pain didn't count, and who taught me to measure it against someone else's? I think growing up as a young male, London, in the kind of time I grew up in, early 90s, it was around that time of men don't cry, men don't do this, men don't do that. We're just tough. We get on with it. There's no such thing as you can be in pain. You can't feel what you're supposed to feel. And then you always, no matter where you are, there's always a comparison. So if you're going through something, your problem is X. There's wars going on. There's someone's been attacked here and everywhere, but your problem is still X. You naturally measure it and go, you know what, this ain't that deep because this is going on. Cool. But you're still feeling this. But you're not allowing yourself to feel it. So in the background, the fire's still on. So imagine you put an egg on the fire, on the frying pan. You've left it on low all day. What's going to happen when you come back to that egg? Even though it's on a low fire, you know what's going to happen. It's going to burn. It's going to burn to pieces. So it's like that's what's happening internally that you have no say over. And it happens to me because I'm the best at compartmentalizing everything. Like there could be a lot going on. That's that meme where the dog's sitting in the house on the table and the fire's happening around him. Like, we're good, we're okay, we can make it through this. This is how my brain thinks, and it's not healthy. It's not sustainable, and that's where the problems arise later on down the line. But I would say that's when I decided pain doesn't count to me, is because men aren't allowed to be in their feelings. They're encouraged to be, but they get told that they're soft, so to speak. Why do I still defend the people who hurt me, and what do I gain from protecting that story? The only people that have actually genuinely probably hurt me in my life, apart from myself, would be parents. Now, whether they're aware of it, unaware of it, care about it, don't care about it, it's none of my business really. But I grew up with just my mum, didn't know my dad. That all changed this year. But even growing up with just my mum, who had to work and all this stuff, there was difficulties along the way, and like I wasn't a bad kid as a child, so to speak. So not even so to speak, I wasn't a bad kid as a child at all. Like I loved school, all of that stuff. So it only over the years that when I didn't understand my childhood traumas that I would always defend that my mum was sick, my mum did this, my mum did that. And yeah, she did it to the best of her abilities, and I applaud her for that. But there's still some things that could have been done that to be different. But even to the point till this day, I only noticed that she admitted that she could have done more for me as a mother, not to me though, to my godmother. And if you stand on it and you believe it, then say it to the person, because they need to hear it more than anyone else. Not that I probably care about it now, but hearing it wouldn't go amiss. What else did they ask me? Why do I call it just how it was instead of admitting it shaped who I became? Because realistically, it is just how it was. There's no denying that things could have been different, but they weren't. So why are we dwelling on what could have been and what should have been and what might have been when that's just how it was? Got beats. My therapist told me I got abused. Nah, I just got beats. That's just how it was. That's how discipline was given in my household. It's simple as that. Like it's not always more than what something is. It's just how it is. Doesn't make it right, but it's just how it is. So I really like that one too much because I'm not just admitting it shaped who I became, because it literally is just how it was. But how I think versus how someone else think, they might look at it different. Why does silence still feel safer than naming what happened out loud? This one's a difficult one because I'm a very vocal person when I need to be, but I'm also extremely silent in majority of environments. And if something bothers me, I'll sit on it. Unless it really bothers me, then you'll know about it immediately. But if it's something that's like piss me off, I'll sit on it and then I'll process it in my own time. Because in answer to the question, silence is safer because it's uh, you're not dealing with anyone else's response, not dealing with anyone's bullshit. It's just you and yourself, and that's a happier place to be because you're not having to confront someone else's argument based on what's made you feel uncomfortable or what's bothered you or whatever it may be. That's where the silence is safer, and the silence will always be safer unless you create the environment with another person that being vocal is actually as safe. And until then, it would always the silence. I would always opt for silence. Why do I only allow the word trauma for others? What would I change if I used it for me? Trauma is a difficult one. To me, do I believe I have childhood trauma? No, because of how it was, and I don't feel like it affected me at the time. But then looking back on it, what would I change for if I used it for me? I probably wouldn't. I probably keep it the same and let the word trauma sit with me, because when you think trauma, you think worst case scenario, and I've never lived in a worst case scenario environment, but I'd always want more out of it from my environment, but I just would never get it, and that's just the circumstance you live in. But looking back at it, there's the signs of neglect and emotional abuse, and the neglect in an emotional way. It's not physical. Nothing I went through was physical. Getting beats is, to me, is what it is. I don't put it down as physical abuse, but definitely emotional abuse was in play, but it wasn't on purpose. It was just how I think in my house how people dealt with things and how they communicated. And I'm not saying it's right, but that's just how it was. So what do you want me to do as a child if that's just how it was? I can't change the environment. I have no power. I have no understanding. It's on the adults, and they can only do as much as they understand. So it's just an ongoing battle. So you kind of need to break this cycle at some point in your life span. And this is probably me trying. Um, why does a part of me prefer the familiar ache over the uncertainty of healing? I don't feel like I prefer the familiar ache. I feel like I revert back to the familiar ache based on my actions in my personal life. I always just go back to the same old shit instead of disciplining myself and focusing on my healing of 33 years of nonsense. I'm 35, by the way, but the last 2 years I've been working on it. So let's say the 33 years previous. It's difficult to overcome all of that. And it will always be difficult to override that. It'll probably take me another 10 years to really surpass it. But it's a tough one. I actually like the idea of healing. I actually like the processes of it. But you always revert back to what you know best. And at the minute, what I know best isn't actually good for me. Now, some data. Let's get some data points. What's this one? So, 64% of adults report at least one adverse childhood experience. 17% report 4+ adverse childhood experiences. That's 2 in 3 of us carrying something early and heavy. Each additional adverse childhood experience raises the odds of any psychiatric disorder by 52%. That loads the stack massively. And anything adverse childhood kind of experience could be literally anything that's not outside the norm, and it just adds up and adds up and adds up. And then you wonder why there's so many fucked up adults out here, including myself at times. Like, I don't have it all down packed, and I'm as secure and as well put together as you see. There's a lot going on up here that I can't navigate through, but I'm trying to. Hence the reason for this podcast. All right, so let's move on. Let's say, give me another subtopic along the lines of childhood trauma. Okay. Why does love feel transactional? So, questions. Why did I learn that approval had a price? Obedience, grades, shutting up. And why do I still pay it as a man? Wow. This one is super real. Children should be seen and not heard after 9 o'clock. You need to get good grades if you want your birthday and Christmas, and be quiet. Children should be seen and not heard after 9. These are all things I heard as a child. I never got the I love yous, and that's not just from my mum, that's from a lot of family members. Never got like hugs and kisses and stuff like that, which is fine. Like, you grow up as a boy, you're not really craving it as much, but it wasn't the norm for me. So growing up as an adult, and why do I still pay as a man? Everything comes out as a transaction. It's like, you do this, you get that. I do this, I should get that. I buy this, I get that. And that goes into relationships, work, whatever it may be. It's you do something to get something. And it's a horrible way of thinking, but it's embedded in you from early. So I don't know why I still do it as a man, because I've realized it, but everything is transactional. I don't care what anyone says. No matter what you do, eventually down the line, it will get paid off. Whether it's directly to do with that or not, it will get paid off. What else they got? Why do I equate value with what I provide? Money, status, sex, instead of who I am. That's a societal thing. People value you before you value yourself. And then they put that value out there to you, i.e. what you can do for them, how they make you feel. So it's not so much about you, it's about what you do to increase your value in their eyes. So why do I equate value with what I provide? It's because of other people, I'd say. I know who I am to a certain degree and the value I possess, but for every different person that you come across, your value will increase or decrease. Why do I feel safer buying closeness than risking rejection for authenticity? Why do I feel buying closeness? I don't do that. And you can only be as authentic as someone lets you be. And again, it depends on the reason for those people in your life. Like, I've got 5 good friends. I'm 100% with them. If I meet you tomorrow, you might get 70% of me. You might get 50% of me. I don't need to be 100% authentic with you. I don't care. Like, you're going to get what you need. You're not going to get everything, because that's not how it works. These people have put in years with me. You can't put in less than 12 weeks and expect X, Y, and Z. To me, it don't work like that. Why do I attract partners who want the transaction? Am I advertising that bargain without realizing it? Probably. I give off a very whatever bov trait, not really that interested, mysterious, all of that kind of stuff, and it probably gives off fuckboy, not serious about a relationship, all of this stuff, and then that's what I'm now selling, and that's the transaction that they're being met with initially. Then they kind of see that, oh no, there's a bit more about him. The value increases because they came in at for a certain price. The price goes up. It's now like, oh, they're scrambling, and then if that don't work out, they're mad at what they received. But that's not what you came in for. You just wasn't expecting more from me than I gave initially. And I feel like that's where there's a clash. And maybe that's my fault, giving too much, not giving enough from the get-go, not saying enough, whatever it may be. But yeah, so maybe I need to work on that. A little quick drinks break, not advertising. Here it is. Why does my fear of abandonment push me to overgive and then resent the bill? I ain't scared of anybody leaving me. Like, my mum left. My dad was never around. Sorry, my mum left when I was 17, 18. Yeah, I think so, around that age. So I wasn't a kid. Dad never was around. Like, people come and go. Like, it is what it is. I'm not really that fussed about that. So this one don't really sit with me, and that's okay. But if you do fear abandonment, which then leads you to overgive, stop. People will leave if they want to leave. Then you overgiving makes them leaving 10 times worse. Whereas if you just give to an amount that you're happy to give, a part of you, when they leave, they've left. But you don't want to be like, I gave everything and they still left. On one hand, so what? On the other hand, you gave too much. You did way too much. It might have suffocated them. You don't know what they were thinking. So yeah, have a think on how much you share. Why is unconditional love hard to receive? What part of me doesn't believe I qualify? Unconditional love to me is like family. Unconditional love is my 5 friends. Unconditionally, I got them. But outside of that, I don't think unconditional love exists. I don't think you can unconditionally love a partner. So I don't think I'll ever qualify for that. It don't make sense to me. Like, unconditional love is for family and your main friends, not a relationship, because there's conditions on that. That was a good one to me. I like that one. Some data. Emotional, psychological abuse estimates reaching 39% globally. Physical abuse, 18 to 23%. A lot of us were taught love through control or pain. Witnessing or experiencing physical, domestic, family violence in childhood, 17% victims, 16.5% witnesses globally pooled. And that's a blueprint for love equals danger transaction. I never saw any physical abuse at home to myself or anyone else. Emotional abuse, I only realized I may have experienced it as I got older, but I never thought I went through it as a child. So these ones are a bit far-fetched for my life, but obviously I understand people go through them. All right, give me another sub-topic. I got ChatGPT Plus, by the way, so it moves quite quick. The disguises trauma wears in adult men. Why do I boast about being independent when it might just mean I don't trust anyone to show up for me? I don't actually boast about it. I just don't say anything about it, but I 100% feel I am independent. I don't rely on anyone for anything. I get up and get it myself. I don't trust anyone to show up for me because the people that were supposed to show up for me didn't. And that just left me with a, cool, gotta do this on my own. And that's okay. But I'm not going to sit here and dwell on it because that's just always been the case. And it will forever be the case in my eyes. Even if I'm with someone, I won't be dependent on you. And I think that's something I might need to shake, just even saying it out loud now, is that I might have to put a trust element in someone else for me to not be independent, for me to be a bit more dependent on those around me, more in a relationship aspect than friendship. So, because like I said, if I was, again, I'm so independent It's like I'm doing therapy with myself here. That's how independent I am. Because who does this? Why does sexual conquest feel easier than emotional intimacy, and what am I hiding from? Sex is easy. Sex is like exercise. Sex is like going to the gym. You you work out, you get hot, you get sweaty, so it releases endorphins. You feel good about yourself, especially if you're doing it in the right environments. You're not like alcohol and drugs and all of that stuff. You're not being forced to do it. You're not paying to do it. Like those things, it's a good thing, and it's way easier than speaking about your feelings with someone else, because you just don't know where it's going to lead to. You don't know what it's going to expose with yourself, especially if you don't want to hear it. You might not want to hear what the other person has to say, but at the same time, if that's the case, then should you sleep with them? The answer is probably no, but if you can separate the two, then sex will always be the easier of the two. And what am I hiding from? I'm just probably hiding, me personally, I'm probably just hiding from the idea of I just don't want to be attached to anyone at that point. Like I like the idea of freedom without burden. Like I want to be like I like the idea of freedom. I'm not saying I want to be free forever. There's times where I just don't want to have to be in my brain, and if it's physical, I'm not in my brain as much. That the blood flows elsewhere, so I can focus on something else, and it's a feel good factor. But that emotional one, don't get me wrong, I've had that emotional intimacy, and this in the moment it makes for better sex, but it's not foreplay to me, and for some people that's what they require, and I just don't care enough at times about it. Why do I call my armor confidence? Who am I trying to convince? Myself. More time I give off that he's very confident, but more time I'm not speaking. So not speaking kind of makes people feel a type of way. So I don't really give off anything other than you're nervous around me, so I look more confident than you do. I might just be as nervous as you, but I just hold myself very well in any scenario, in any environment. So, but no, I definitely see myself. I do call myself confident more than I do anything else, but it will be down to the other person as well. Why do my conflicts with partners replay the arguments I had with my parents? Am I dating to fix my childhood? Oh. Yeah, you know what? There's some element of truth to that. Like, I haven't got many exes, but the ones I was in real relationships with, it was down to just trivial things more time, and to me it was just like, oh, here we go. But to them it was like, bro, what's wrong with you? Like you're not. I'm not your mum. Kind like that kind of thought process. And I'm like, I don't want you to be my mum at all. But it's like I'm. I didn't argue with my mum. So the argument side of it isn't something I had with my parent, but it was just stuff I experienced. And it was maybe I was dating to fix my childhood, but I never fixed it. I fixed it outside of dating by going to therapy. And I wouldn't say fixed it, started the journey of it. Why do I overwork and overachieve? Am I chasing a father's nod or a mother's relief? I'll be honest with you, I couldn't give a shit about a father's nod or a mother's relief. I do things for me. If I overwork and overachieve, it was for me first and foremost. There's no seal of approval from anyone else. I don't look for validation from either one of them, even though one of them was never around. So I don't care. That one don't apply to me. Why do I sabotage? Calm. Does peaceful feel unsafe because chaos once meant I was alive? Why do I sabotage? I probably sabotage not because of chaos, because I can find peace in chaos. Like whenever there's craziness going around me, I usually find a moment of peace inside it. I may react, like we're all human, but more time I don't react and I let it build, but then I'm finding the peace in it, and then I become peaceful in the chaos. War going on around me, I'm standing there, everything's just slow-mo. Nothing's coming near me. That's how I kind of move. But why do I sabotage? I think maybe why did I sabotage was because I was unsure who I was as a person from like childhood, and why I kept doing things, and what made me do them, and what triggered them, and all of that stuff. Now I understand it. I probably wouldn't say I'd sabotage anymore, but why did I is because I just didn't know any other way. This was just a way of life, and it affected all my relationships that I ever had. And based on that, I apologize to those people, whether they see it or not. I am sorry for that version of me. Some data on this subtopic: men seek mental health care less. Only 40% of men with a mental illness receive care versus 52% of women. That was in America. Childhood experiences, depression, anxiety, substance risk for decades. The dose of response effect is robust across studies. You didn't really give me a number there, ChatGPT. It wasn't really helping. All right, give me another one, but a bit deeper. Can you actually heal, or just carrying it a bit better? All right, so why might I be attached to my pain? Who would I be if I couldn't use it to explain my patterns? This is a good one, because I've been very vocal a lot lately when speaking to people and meeting people about stuff I've been through, stuff I did in past relationships, and blah blah blah, and I'd use it to explain my patterns. So I might genuinely be attached to my problems because it explains a lot more. But I'm trying to break that cycle by learning more about myself and my history and what makes me the way I am, attachment styles. But all of this will come out in episodes to come. But I'm attached to it because it allows me to explain my patterns, I think, more so than anything, because there's no other way of me explaining it to someone without kind of holding on to it. If I let it go, then I feel like I lose it. Why do I keep retelling the same origin story? Does it excuse the choices I don't want to change? Damn. This is literally what I'm talking about. So, why do I keep retelling the same origin? That, again, that's the origin story. For every new person I come across, I have to tell the origin story. They have to know kind of what they're potentially getting into. Again, I'm not a serial killer or abuser or anything like that. It's just that someone's red flag is someone else's orange flag or yellow flag or green flag. Like, everyone's different, but it's for you to make that assumption yourself. So to tell the origin story is a good thing. It's not an excuse to not change, because I'm very different than I was 2 years ago. Some behaviors may be the same, but I'm different as a person. So that there is an element of change in that to me, but the story has to be told, because the origin story has to be told, because then you show the evolution of where you've got to. Why does forgiveness feel like betrayal of my younger self? What would honouring him actually look like? I don't understand this. Like, why does forgiveness feel like betrayal of my younger self? Maybe because of how I am as a person. Maybe I'm reading this question wrong, but forgiveness feel like betrayal because it feel like I'm letting the younger me, letting the people around me get away with it. And as an adult, I don't let people get away with getting one up on me ever. So why would I allow that as a younger me? So maybe that's why I would feel betrayal. But other than that, I'm not probably understanding that the way it's being asked. Why is letting go terrifying? If I drop the weight, do I also lose my identity? Letting go of what, ChatGPT? I don't want to let go because I'm still attached to my pain, and the reason why I'm still attached is because I'm still learning. So I don't want to let go of it now. It's not terrifying because this isn't me forever, but it's also something I need to hold on to at the minute because I've only just got it. Bear in mind, everything else prior was 33 years. I've had this 18 months, 2 years. So I need to hold on to it a bit longer. Why not get help? I do. I go therapy. So, and this is why I'm a bit more able to discuss these things because I understand a little bit more about myself. Why not measure progress by how I love differently, not by how fine I sound? Well, perfect example. My youngest, he gets probably the best version of me that exists ever. So that's where I know I've made progress in everything because of how he gets treated and how much love I show him, and I don't want him to know any different. And that's how I probably define myself most, is based on how I am with him. And if you saw me with him, you'd think it was two different people. All right, a little data to drop. The stacking effect is real. Every ACE is 52% higher odds of psychiatric disorders. 4 plus ACE is common enough. It's 1 in 6 adults. That healing isn't fringe work. It's standard maintenance. So even if you don't really have any kind of childhood experiences or adverse childhood experiences, there's still some therapy to have somewhere along the line. So it should just be standard maintenance for you. All right, last set of, give me one more set of a subtopic. All right, what are they giving me? Generational echoes. Will my sons feel what I never named? Why would my kid believe love is free if I still act like it must be earned? Now, there's two sides to this. Love is free. When you greet your child, there should always be hugs and kisses, no matter what. When there's goodbyes, hugs and kisses, that should be standard. Wake up, hugs and kisses, go to bed, hugs and kisses, all of that stuff, standard. But there is also an element of they need to understand that if you're bad, it's not always hugs and kisses. You being good is just a baseline level of where you should be at as a human. And I goes, that's the only thing that they should be earning is behavior. Bad equates to, doesn't mean I don't love you, but it means my love today for you is a lot less than it was yesterday when you was doing good. And I feel like because you can't really do much else with kids. You're not going to not love them, but you can also love them a little less, or probably you don't even like them a little less, but they need to know this, that poor behavior has consequences. Why am I comfortable breaking my body for work, but not breaking a cycle for my family? Big question. I like that one. Because again, it's always down to me, and we'll come on this in a later episode, it's down to dealing with other people's emotions. That's where I hit my struggle point. And I'm comfortable breaking my body for work because it's a simple transaction of do this, get paid this, do that, get paid that. Breaking a cycle for the family is a lot of work that has no reward element to it immediately. Whereas work is, you work for an hour, you get paid X. So I think that's the difference. It's not something that I'm championing because you should definitely break the cycle for the family. But why am I comfortable? That's the answer. Why do I expect emotional fluency from a partner I won't practice with my children? I'm very emotionally fluent with my children, so this one don't really apply to me. I don't know if I expect from my partner because I don't feel like we ever get there, and I hit a stumbling block in a relationship due to this, and then it doesn't work, or I used to anyway. I don't know now because I've not been in one. That's part of nearly 2 years. So it's something that I would like to see later on down the line if I actually gain that emotional fluency with a partner, not even from a partner. Why do I fear becoming a father yet repeated silence? Now, I've only, of recording this in the last week, learned about my father. I've learned I've been told some things about him that I didn't really miss out on, and like he wasn't a great person. This, that, and the third. But there is elements of his life that I've been told about that I fear I may become. And that's where I was saying about learning who I am through my parents and the stuff they did. Is it embedded in me, or is this choices, or what is it? And learning this as this journey goes by and learning about this man. I'm not learning about this man directly through him. I have no interest in having a relationship with him. I'm learning it through someone else who has a relationship with him, not the best one, but has one either way, and knows more about him than I do. So the more I speak about it with them, the more I get back. The other day I was like, shit, I really don't want to become anything like him. And there was parts of him that I'm repeating in my life now that I had no idea. So I'm like, all right, this needs to get handled a bit better. Why not be the last man in my line who mistakes control for care? All right. One thing about me, no such thing as control in my life. I don't control nobody. It's never been my style. I can care about you, but not control you. I will never control anyone to do anything that's in my life ever. That's a no-no. Because when shit goes wrong, the person that was controlling the scenario is reason to blame for it. You need to have the flexibility for shit to go wrong for you to be able to come back to me and me care. If I control it and it goes wrong, I don't care because I knew it was going to happen. So it's that side of me that I don't. This one don't sit with me. But yeah, so childhood trauma for me is not as deep of a topic that of the ones I want to touch on, but it's just lays the foundation of where things went wrong, where life could have taken me. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not an angel. I'm really not, but I'm not as bad as I made out to be. It's just there's things that I lacked as a child that I still lack now. I'm aware that I lack it, but I just don't know how I unlock it. And that's the problem. Once I figure out how to unlock it, then I'll be able to really master what I'm going to become as a man later on in my life, a better man later on in my life. And I think that's the realness of it. And I've just got to get there and figure it out as we go, unpack all of this and become the best version of myself. So yeah. So that was episode 1 of Raw Thoughts, me, myself, and AI. Check out episode 2 coming soon. Bye.